Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia Melone.
Hello, everyone. I am Sophia Melonē, the Debt Demolisher, here to bring you the tools, tips, and tricks to help you manage your financial baggage the right way. I'm super excited to be before you guys for a new live stream, but another live stream night because we have entered into the month of April, and it is officially Financial Literacy Month. I am so excited to be before you guys tonight. We have a wonderful month that is ahead of us. This is going to be a space of us not just learning together, growing together, not just getting over our fears financially together, not just getting our credit together, not just getting our money management skills together, but also getting us into the space where we can begin to build wealth, create wealth, and choose wealth together. So with that, today, we are going to start our discussions around the book that I've been sharing with you guys as we wrapped up our conversations related to our Going Over the Abundance Now book by Lisa Nichols. We are now jumping into our new session, which is going to take us into covering this book, The Wealth Choice, by none other than Dr. Dennis Kimbro. I'm going to share this with you guys because one of the things that I believe is extremely important for us to see, to recognize, to understand is that this entire flow of what we're doing is truly an anointed space. It's truly a divine space. It's truly something that is really going to shift everyone who is under the sound of my voice, who is watching this video, who may be hearing me on this Clubhouse platform, as well as watching me on live stream. Today is going to be a day, this month is going to be a month for us to remember, I believe, forever. So let me go ahead and pop out the chat so I can greet those who are in the room, so I can say hello to my family, because that is one of the best things that I love to do. And while we do that, we're going to take some time for acknowledgments, and then we're going to jump right into this conversation because we're not going to waste any time. Okay. We have Acacia in the building saying, greetings, DDTV family. Hey, Acacia, welcome on into this room. I'm so glad to see you. I'm so glad that you're here. And not only that, I want to thank you so much for being the one and only Debt Demolisher TV's moderator here on the channel. I'm so excited that you are here, that you are here. And I just want to say thank you. And I also want to say, hey, Acacia. Go Acacia. Hey Acacia. Go Acacia. Let's go. Hey Acacia. Go Acacia. Hey Acacia. Go Acacia. Let's go. Acacia's in the room. I'm so glad that you're here, Acacia. Thank you so much for being here. We also got Coach Harut in the building saying hello to all the way from the West Side. Hey, Coach Harut, so good to see you. I'm so glad that you're here. Welcome on into this room. And I hope that y'all are ready for this dynamite conversation. I have to tell you guys, just out of pure, before we get into the conversation, just out of pure honesty, transparency, based on what I really felt as I was reading our reading assignments for today. So today we had to read through the acknowledgement section of The Wealth Choice, as well as the introduction of the book. And when I tell you all how I felt in my spirit as I was reading our assignments, I said that this is really going to be an anointed space. I started to get emotional. I even started to get teary-eyed a little bit. And I was reading Sherry's comment on the community post that went out this morning related to the quote that was posted today. And she had been searching and looking for Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. He has a YouTube channel. I linked this channel or linked this name inside of the community post. And she came across an interview of him, 18 minutes. It wasn't really an interview. He was speaking really about the wealth choice. It was an 18-minute video, and she mentioned it. And I said, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I linked that video inside of my reply to Sherry's comment on the community page. And when I tell you that I had to re-listen to it, because I had listened to it a while ago, and when I re-listened to it again, I said, wow, this is just perfect alignment, perfect divine. And I know that this book is really going to take our financial momentum, our desire, our drive to a whole nother level. I firmly believe that we're going to go into a space from financial fast to abundance now to wealth on a whole nother level. And if we stick to this work, if we stick to this reading, and if we stick to doing this together, I strongly, firmly believe that our lives are not going to look the same by the time we get to the ending of this year. Our 2022 is not going to look the same. Our lives today is not going to look the same down the line. So I want to invite you guys to stay on top of this work. Get your copy of the book if you don't have it already. Get your readings in. Read together with us. Do the reflection questions that I have inside of the community post, because I firmly believe that it's really going to take us to a whole nother level. So with that, I want us to jump into what we had to read thus far. So going through the acknowledgments, first thing that I read when I was going through the acknowledgments, I saw that he said that this is a 7-year effort. The writing of this book was a 7-year effort for Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. This book, The Wealth Choice, was a 7-year effort for him. And so in his acknowledgments, he pointed out that this 7-year effort that he went into writing this book was not as a result of the power of one, which was him. It was as a result of the power of many. So one of the things that I really took from this, starting out off the gate, anything that we go through, anything that we're wanting to achieve, anything that we set our sights on, we have to realize that we cannot go at it alone. We can only go but so far alone. You're going to need support. You're going to need systems. You're going to need tools. You're going to need direction. You're going to need prayer. You're going to need everything under the sun. That's not going to be able to come only from you. So you have to position yourself to be supported. You have to allow yourself to be supported. You have to position yourself to ask for what it is that you need. So acknowledgments, I recognize that this journey to wealth is not a solo way to go. It's not a solo way to go. You need somebody to help you to get to whatever your goal is. Somebody. That's what I took away from there. As you can see, he also included just a partial list of some of the people that he interviewed throughout this book. Some of these names I'm pretty sure you all recognize. Some of these names you might not have recognized. And one of the things that I realized as I was reading through this list, I said, wow, there's some names that I don't know about. So let me put that on my list of things to Google to find out what they do after we've gone through this book, because I'm pretty sure we may be able to hear and learn more about these particular people, because these are the multimillionaires that Dr. Dennis Kimbrough had interviewed in order to come up and craft this book. We got Sherry in the building saying happy Friday. Hey, Sherry, so good to see you. Welcome on into this room. I'm so glad that you are here. I actually just mentioned your name not too long ago, talking about the video that you mentioned in response to the community post. I did put the link to the video in reply to your comments. I was letting people know if they want to be able to find the link, they can get it there. Or once this live stream ends, I'll add the link to it in the comments or in the description box of today's video. So thank you for bringing that up. And thank you for that reminder, because it was a powerful 18-minute video. Okay. Coach Root says, no, it's not. I already claimed this. Come on, Coach Root, let's go. Coach Root is saying hello to Sherry and Acacia. Acacia saying, greetings, ladies. I'm driving, but I'm listening, and I'm glad to see you all here. Please drive safely. Acacia, please drive safely. I'm so glad that you're here, that you're listening, and we got peaceful love in the building. So good to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome on into this room. We are covering acknowledgments and pages 1 through 10 of the Wealth Choice. So I hope that y'all got your copies. I hope that y'all got your copies. And I'm gonna say it one more time. I hope that y'all got your copies. So the first chapter, or the first introduction, pre-introduction of the book, is talking about a wealth of knowledge. One of the things that Dr. Dennis Kimbrough said as he was seeking to interview different people and speaking to speak to different people, he spoke to John H. Johnson, who was the chief executive of Ebony Magazine. I'm pretty sure everybody has heard of Ebony Magazine. You know what Ebony Magazine is. You're very familiar. We all know. But do we know his journey of how he created, how he came up with what his passion was, what his love was for magazines that got him in that industry? But Dr. Dennis Kimbrough went in to meet with Mr. Johnson. And Mr. Johnson asked him a question that shook Dr. Dennis Kimbrough to his core. The simple question that I'm even going to ask you as you think about the level of achievements that you have in your life, the level of things that you've accomplished in your life, the level of income types that you've been able to have within your time span, with everything that you've been able to do throughout your life. Why aren't you wealthy? Before you even get to the space of answering the question, why aren't you wealthy, you have to understand and define what your definition of wealth is. So before we go there, I want you to think about what is your definition of wealth? How do you define wealth? I sent out an email to my email list. So if you guys are on my email list, then you know what email I'm talking about. I sent out an email this morning just reminding people the power of being a student of the work, not just your work, but the work that you've been able to gain, because as a result of you learning something, that now becomes your work. So you have to be a student of that work. So I put in this article, I put in my news blast, my monthly news blast. I put in this email blast, the presentation that I did with the New York Urban League. So you all know back in November, I had announced that I was invited to be a co-facilitator, one of the guest panelists at the New York Urban League's Young Professionals National Empowerment event, their National Empowerment event. And we spoke on economical and financial empowerment, and with an emphasis on money and mental. So mindset, money pretty much was our compilation. And I shared the section of our presentation with my email list because I wanted them to listen to it. And when I went back and listened to it, I was floored, because it's really going to position us to really think about wealth from a different level. So in that presentation, we talked about what generational wealth meant to us. What does that mean? Because we have our different definition of wealth. And even though I say wealth is not just about money, wealth is more than about money. It's also about your intellectual side, your intellectual capital. There's more to wealth than just monetary things. There's also things that's tied to wealth that that can't be seen, that can't be touched, that can't be penetrated, so to speak, physically. So when you look at it from your perspective, what does wealth mean to you? Jot that down while you're listening, or reflect. If you're driving, jot that. Remember to kind of think of this question later on of what wealth means to you. So going back to the question, Mr. Johnson asked him, why aren't you wealthy? Why aren't you rich? Why aren't you wealthy? And he says, you and your generation live in an era in unprecedented wealth and growth. More men and women have become wealthy in the last 20 years than any other time in human history. You've been given a sound mind and a sound body, not to mention energetic spirit, as well as opportunity at every turn. And to top it off, you've earned a degree from one of the finest schools in the country. This is what John Johnson was saying to Dr. Dennis Kimbrough. And he says, and I ask you, why aren't you wealthy? Dr. Dennis Kimbrough at this time said that he was so floored that he couldn't even answer the question. He couldn't even answer the question. He even felt ashamed in that moment, because in that moment, he realized that he had failed by wasting time, wasting energy, wasting talents, and wasting potential. Wasting time, wasting energy, wasting talents, and wasting potential. Do you or can you recognize a time in your life where you know that you've wasted time, where you know that you've wasted energy, where you know that you haven't maximized your talents or maximized your potential? If that is true for you, it's time to course correct. John Johnson also said to him, which I'm pretty sure everybody picked up, very popular quote, very popular statement that's in this book because I've seen it before, which is John Johnson says, if you want to know how people feel about themselves, look at their bank account. Money is the greatest measurement of your mindset. Money is the greatest measurement of your mindset. And that leads me to the morning inspirational quote that was posted this morning, where Dr. Dennis Kimbrough says, wealth is less a matter of circumstance than it is a matter of knowledge and choice. So if you can just really think about what has been hindering you from getting to your level of wealth, whatever your definition of wealth is, more than likely it's not as a result of your circumstances. It's a result of the knowledge or the lack of knowledge that you've had around wealth, or your choice to even choose it. So I firmly believe that us going through this book today is going to take our minds to a different level. It's going to stretch us in a different level when it comes to creating the wealth that not just we desire, but what we deserve. Because remember, we serve an abundant God. Remember that we can have it all. And so if that's the case, you have to choose to want to work at having it all. Another powerful section that I highlighted inside of this book is on page 3, which says, many a ruined man dates his downfall from the day he began buying what he did not need. And I can even speak to the truth of that for me, from my perspective, but I didn't even realize that it was a ruin until after the fact. When I did that comparison between my bank statement and my end of the year pay stub and saw that the two solely did not match. And just that small exercise helped me realize how terrible I was with my own money. I was a horrible student with my own money, calling it in the name and in the sake of giving to others. Mismanagement. Dr. Dennis Kimbrough also says, to whom you give your money, you give your power. Who are you giving your power to? Further down, he says, too many of us, like the inquisitive student that they've described above, I know I skipped over that piece, But too many of us fail to understand the importance of financial management. The importance of financial management. And honestly and truthfully, this is why I truly believe that the tithe is designed to form discipline in us. Because if you can't afford to set aside a 10th and return it unto the Lord, what are you doing with the 90? What decisions are you making that's causing you not to even be able to set aside a 10th? The 10th is really for you, to help you manage. God put that in place to help us manage. It's a discipline. It's a discipline building trait. He started to introduce some of the stories of some of the people that we're going to begin to read about through this book, and what were some of the key things that stuck out for them in terms of what caused them to even become a millionaire. As an African American, some of the things that I see, I highlighted. Having unshakable faith to match their tireless passion and energy to what was at their forefront, to what was in front of them. Another one, learning the power of the words, I can't afford it. Discipline, that's choosing. Another quote saying, keep going no matter what. These are the things that the successful Black millionaires were saying to themselves, were sharing with themselves in order for them to keep moving along in their journey to amass wealth. This piece is very powerful on page 4. The odds may be 1,000,000 to 1 against reaching your financial goals, but ever-present opportunities can shift the prospects in your favor if you just use your God-given talents and act. May I ask you a question? Do you know your God-given talent? Have you discovered your God-given talent? What do you know, like you know, like you know, like you know, that this is my God-given talent? If I could speak for me, I, especially after going back and like listening to my presentations, and to be honest with you all, I can't even take any credit for it, because when I went back and listened to some of the stuff, I said, whoa, this was nothing but the anointing. Because half of the stuff, I don't even remember what I say. 9 times out of 10, when I'm presenting, I don't have a script. I do not have a script. I have an outline. What you see on my slide is what I'm teaching from. What you see on my slide is what I'm teaching from. And I know that everybody cannot do that. Some people literally have to write a full-blown script of what they're going to say when they're presenting, and they have to read from it. I was in a training this week. No harm, no foul, but I'm just sharing. I was in a training this week, and you could just tell that the presenter was reading from a paper. You could just tell. You could just tell. And I don't know how that makes anyone else feel, but for me, I love to be in a space where the conversation flows. I know sometimes people may stumble over words here and there, but if you know, like you know, if you're gifted like you're gifted, you can flow and present naturally. I remember when I went down to spend time with my brothers and my dad and bonus mom down on that side for the holidays. And I was in their room. I was in my dad and bonus mom's room. And I was talking to them, I was just, and I talk with my hands, y'all. That's just what I do. I talk with my hands. So I was talking to them and my hands were like, moving, I guess. And my father in the midst of it just said, like, wow, look at you. He said, you're like a preacher. He said, look at you. You're like a preacher. I was like, huh? I was like, really, Papa? He was like, yeah, you're really engaged and you talk with your hands and you speak well. And he was saying all of these things. He said, you're a teacher. And I was like, wow, I never thought of it that way. And I never knew that the natural things that I do were signs and indications of what the trait of a pastor or teacher or whatever would be like, because that's not what I do for my career. I'm an accountant, so I crunch numbers all day. That's what I do. I'm analytical. But naturally, I talk with my hands. Naturally, I talk with my hands. So, what are you naturally gifted in doing? What's your gift? Do you know your God-given gift? Another thing that was powerful inside of this book that he talked about, he said that every business transaction is an opportunity, and an opportunity to serve, an opportunity to make a difference, an opportunity to test the market conditions, and an opportunity to stamp your brand, and an opportunity to let your light shine and glorify your heaven. Glorify your Father in heaven. Let your light shine. Let your light shine. I cannot tell you guys how much energy I get when it's time to show up here. I cannot tell you all. I could be suffering from a headache from a long day, and the minute when it's time to go live, or the minute it's time for me to present, or the minute it's time for me to do something related to this financial education space, the headache goes away, the energy perks, and I'm like a whole different person. That's letting your light shine. That's letting the Holy Spirit come in and take over. That is where the anointing comes into play. We talked about Tyrese Gibson. I just cannot wait until we continue to get through this book. I'm just going to share with you all right now. There's so much. But on page 8, he talks about what the songwriter said. Attack your dreams. And I'm talking about Tyrese Gibson when I say the songwriter. But attack your dreams with a solitary purpose and vision and learn to get out of your own way. Can we talk about this for a second? Can we dissect this for a second? Can we just have a transparent moment for a second? When you think about the things that you have an idea about, the things that you would like to do, that you think would be awesome, that you could maybe even see yourself doing, but you begin to put excuses up. You begin to say, oh no, I can't do that. You begin to say, oh no, that's not possible. When those conversations come up, you are getting in your own way. You are getting in your own way. So how can you move that layer of protection, move that layer of fear so that you can step into what could be your biggest breakthrough of your life? When we go through this book, you're going to see that your wealth creation is attached to your ideas. You're going to see that the creation, the generation, the sustainment, of your wealth is attached to your idea. So every idea that you choose to dismiss because you feel like you're not ready, every idea that you choose to set to the side because you feel like, oh, I have this, I have that, and it's not possible for me, that is wealth that you are possibly throwing away that somebody else is going to pick up. And then when they birth it, you're going to end up saying, oh, that was my idea. Well, God gave it to you, but you chose to ignore it. So somebody else picked it up. And this is another thing that we have to realize too. We always think that everything is so unique to us. Sometimes God can drop the same thing as somebody else. But who's going to take action on it first? That's the question. Who's going to take action on it first? That's the question. Who's going to be obedient to that idea? Dr. Dennis Kimbrough also says that riches are lying everywhere for the observant eye. Riches and wealth are lying everywhere for the observant eye. Many of us who believe we are poor are rich in possibilities. And possibilities is something that Lisa Nichols talks about a lot. I know we just went through 31 days of reading the Abundance Now book. And if you even listen to Lisa Nichols on her YouTube channel, listen to her content, listen to her courses, if you have them, you're going to see that she talks a lot about possibility. Possibility is attached to another level of thinking. Possibility is attached to idea creation. Possibility is attached to affirmation, visualization, believing. What are the 3 steps? Believe, ask, and receive. Possibility is tied up into all of that. This was something that I found powerful, and I said that it's so true, and I wonder why they don't really teach us this stuff when we're in school. I wonder why, but we don't have to always rely on some type of curriculum that's built within the system for us to follow. We got to go and find what it is that we know that we need to transform our lives in a way that can get us outside of the system or will allow us to rise above the system. And this comes from page 9, where he says, unfortunately, you would be hard pressed to find a course in our educational system titled Wealth 101. I should probably change this whole series to Wealth 101 because I feel like we're going to get a whole Wealth 101 inside of this here book. Okay. Few of us are even taught the basics of money, the basic principles of money. This is why I have this channel, because I wasn't even taught the basics. Yeah, you learn your little math and all of that, but they don't really teach you the true cycle of it. They don't teach you how to really position your money for growth. They don't teach you that. They teach you how to get an education to make other businesses money. That's what they teach you. Because when I was in school, I studied corporate finance. Corporate finance. I ain't learned nothing about no credit scores. I ain't learned nothing about no household budgets. None of that. I learned about taxes because you know you have to pay taxes. I learned about corporate finance. And I never thought to put my corporate finance education and apply it to my personal finances. I never thought of that. But now I do. This is why I use ratios. This is why I use spreadsheets. This is why I build out templates. I create systems to help me manage my finances on autopilot, but I still have to be in the midst of it. And I want to help you guys do the same, which is why we have our weekly Saturday with me working sessions so that we can stay in action in our finances together. By the way, make sure that y'all join us tomorrow for the book Keep With Me live stream, first ever. Normally, this is business type of training that I typically give to people. This is consulting that I typically do for people, helping them with setting up their books and getting their account records set up for their businesses, getting them set up so that it can just be automated for them. I'm going to give you a little snapshot, a little training in the beginning of our class tomorrow. And we're going to go into work to categorizing our financials when it comes to our business. And even if you don't have a business, you can still use the same tools to begin to create the automations and the tracking for your personal finances so that you can really see how you're spending across all of your accounts, including your credit cards. So join me tomorrow at 9 a.m. That's what we're doing tomorrow. Okay. Doing that from 9 to 11. Then we'll have a break from 11 to 12. And then for those of us who are going to be joining Michelle Singletary's Prosperity Partners Ministries workshop, that starts at 12 noon. So you should have received the invitation. You should have gotten notifications regarding that. And if you're going to join us, I would love to see you in that side of the room too. So we can do what? We can pull up like we did last month. Okay. All right. He also says you, the reader, will come to understand that building a 7-figure income requires more than a successful enterprise or a successful career. In fact, it's going to require much more. So wealth creators that were interviewed for this particular study that Dr. Dennis Kimbrough did in order to create and write this book is that they were very clear about their path to wealth. And most importantly, they were very clear about financial empowerment. And this is why I say the timing of this thing was so good, because we're talking about financial empowerment. And I send out this email to my email list this morning, giving them the link to a financial empowerment presentation that I did back in November that I recently just got the access to from the New York Urban League, letting us know, hey, the link is here. And I said, this is perfect timing, just total alignment. But I want to read this because this is going to take some time, but this is quite a few sentences from the bottom of page 9 through page 10. Let's go ahead on. And then I'll address the comments in the chat and then we'll close out. So starting on towards the bottom of page 9, the wealth choice, Dr. Dennis Kimbrough writes, these wealth creators know that our prosperity as a nation depends on the personal financial prosperity of each individual. Now, I want you guys to hear me as I recite this. They know that proper preparation is the key to financial success. They know that if you invest in yourself, you will never be poor. And if you have to ask for a little, you will receive little. They know that debt is like any other trap, easy to tumble into, but difficult to escape. Y'all know my story. $365,000 of debt before the age of 30. Yes. Don't ask me how. No, yes, ask me how, because I told y'all how. Insecurity, not loving myself, letting people manipulate and use me, tell me their sob stories, or tell me they're going to pay me back and they don't, and me not loving myself enough. So I spent on other people so that I can feel the love from them, not even realizing that they weren't really loving me. They were loving the things that I was giving them. Made me get up and shout. They know that nothing makes a man or woman independent as ready cash, and that an investment in knowledge will always return the highest dividend. They know that prosperity flows only through channels that are open to receive it. What do I always say? You have to open up your hands. And that anyone can overcome poverty. Anyone can overcome poverty. Anyone can overcome poverty. But what's the key? You have to choose to. You have to choose to want to overcome poverty. But that the individual who has nothing but money confronts another form of poverty, one that can never be conquered. They know that thrift not only safeguards the future, but allows one to work with confidence. Now, I've done videos on frugality. I've done shorts letting people know that being frugal is not being cheap. Being frugal is not being cheap. Safeguarding. It's safeguarding. When you're thrifty, that means you're really being mindful about the resources that you have and how you're using them. And most important, Black millionaires know that the true wealth can be found in these words: make all you can, save all you can, and give all you can. These principles and laws lie at the heart of the wealth choice. I'm going to read this piece and then I want us to close, because this month, I really believe it's going to change our whole lives. I'm just saying, the anointing is in the space. I feel it. I really feel it. And I really want us to be able to feel this thing together. So under the section of Operation New Life, Dr. Dennis Kimbrough talks about these 5 things, and you all might have seen this, you might have heard this, but I did a playlist back a while ago on laboring your finances. So there's a playlist on the Debt Demolisher TV called Labor Your Finances. And in that playlist, it's about maybe 10 videos, but in that playlist, I share 5 of the elements that Dr. Dennis Kimbrough talks about in this book, because I always say, we say that we want to be wealthy, but we don't want to do what the wealthy people do. And what do the wealthy people do? They save. Number 1, pay yourself first. Come on. They save, they dream, they plan, they invest, and they what? And they also give. So those 5 elements are the common threads that you will see that the wealthy people do. So if you look at the 5 elements that I just said, and we're going to get through this as we continue to read through the book, so don't rush through it. I just want you to ponder. I want you to ponder. How would you rate yourself on these levels? How much do you pay yourself in proportion to how much you pay others? Do you set the time to sit down and dream? What are your biggest things that you want to create? Dreaming is where the ideas come into play. Dreaming is where the ideas come into play. Dreaming is the source of your wealth creation. I hope y'all pick that up. Plan. Do you plan? Do you plan your days? Do you plan your goals? Do you even have your goal identified? If you have a goal identified, you should have a plan to accompany it. Because faith without works is dead. And also goals without works is dead. And the only way that you can be able to work a goal is if you have a plan for it. So how often are you designing and creating your plans? How often do you invest? How much do you invest? Are you afraid to invest? Are you fearful to invest? Are you investing the money that you earn so that it can make money for you? For those of us who are on the Patreon, you know that we're reading that right now inside of the book that we're covering on the Patreon platform. The Debt Demolisher TV's largest financial education book club in the world. I'm speaking that into existence. You know that we're getting ready to tap into that. We're reading on that in the book that we're reading over there. You got to allow your money to earn money. So the only way that you can do that is by investing it in some way, shape, or form. We also have give. Do you give? You cannot receive if your hands are like this. You cannot receive if you are clenching on to every dime that you have and you are not willing to open up. You got to open up your hands so that you can receive. And the only way that you can open up your hands is if you release. You have to be willing to give, and your heart has to be right when you give it. Because if you're giving it with a frown, if you're giving it with upset, you might as well keep that. You might as well keep that. I love this piece, and we're going to close out with this. Dr. Dennis Kimbrough gives a recap of a summary that he basically had from a meeting with Benjamin Franklin, Samuel Smiles, Orson Swett Martin, and some other large giants in the self-development field. And no. This was Clement Stone. W. Clement Stone. That's who he was in his office with. So based on that conversation and the meeting that he had with him, these were his takeaways. And this is what W. Clement Stone mentioned to him. His few pearls of wisdom were this. Jot this down, take this in. Desire is the beginning of all human achievement. Desire is the beginning of all human achievement. And to be completely honest with you guys, your desire has to have a certain level of intentionality behind it. And if you read the Think and Grow Rich book by Napoleon Hill, then you should already know what I'm talking about. Number 2, when you go for something, don't return until you get it. When you go for something, don't return until you get it. 3, success is achieved by those who try. When there's nothing to lose by trying and everything to gain, if successful, by all means, try. 4, if you can't save, I'm going to say, pause, hear this, listen closely. If you cannot save 10% of all that you earn, the seeds of greatness are not in you. You don't got to take it from me. You don't even have to take it from Dr. Dennis Kimbrough, but you can sure enough take it from W. Clement Stone's. Because his wisdom that he shared is if you can't pay yourself first consistently at a minimum 10%, better yet, if you can't even tithe 10%, if you can't tithe 10%, more than likely you're not even paying yourself 10%. Let's just be real. Let's just be real. So if you can't save 10% of all that you earn, the seeds of greatness are not within you. So if that doesn't convict somebody to prioritize paying themselves, I don't know what else will. I don't know what else will. And then last but not least, certainly not least, prayer is mankind's greatest power. Prayer is mankind's greatest power. Because y'all know that we serve an abundant, omnipotent, powerful God who is a suddenly God who can do all kinds of things that'll blow your whole mind. Try him. Pray to him. Pour out your heart. Be sincere. Put a demand on God sometimes. Sometimes you got to go back to the word and say, Lord, this is what your word said. This is what your word said. Put a demand on God. Try him. Try him. And with that, we have gone through our closing of the readings. And so your readings for tomorrow will consist of us reading through the next 10 pages. So we're going to start with page 11, and we're going to break it all the way down to page 20. And as you know, every morning a community post is going to go out, but tomorrow's community post is going to come from one of these pages as it feels pulled inside of me to use as the quote of the morning with the message. So if you guys missed the community post that went out today, I want you all to go back and look at it. Go back and journal through those questions. And as a matter of fact, let me just do the honors and let me pull it up. Let me do that real quick. So that way everyone can have an opportunity to be able to see what the question is, even if you didn't see the community post. So if you visit the Debt Demolisher TV's YouTube page and you go to the community tab, you will see every morning that a community post goes up. In the morning, it's going to be a quote card, and that quote card is going to have a message or quote that came directly from the book that we're reading, which is The Wealth Choice. But the extra challenge to that is for you to do the reflection question. So let me go ahead and pull this up so that y'all can see it. And then I'll read some of these comments and then we'll close out, if that's all right with you guys. Okay. All right. Okay. So here we go. Let me share this. There we go. All right, real quick, and then I'll address the comments in the chat, and then we're gonna be out. All right, you guys should be able to see my screen now. Okay, so if you go to the community page, you'll see Debt Demolisher TV. You go to the community tab. You go here, you see this is the quote of the day, which I already just read from. Wealth is less a matter of circumstance than it is a matter of knowledge and choice. With such wealth, no one should ever be poor. You must take control of your life. You must make the decision to become wealthy. Make the decision to become wealthy. So your community post, if you expand it, there is your reading assignment, what we're covering for today. Even a link to Dr. Dennis Kimbrough's YouTube page. Be sure to check it out. But what I want you to do for each reading, reflect. What are one to three takeaways that you've been able to pick up, that you've been able to grab from this reading assignment, from this section's reading? Then you're going to journal about your action. What is one thing that you plan to implement based on your learnings from this section? And then 3, what about your mentality has changed? So how has your definition of success changed since completing this section's reading? So each community post is going to have these questions, and depending on which day it falls on, you may have a 4th question, because there's going to be a process question that comes along with this, because we check in every 7 days. But be sure to look at the community post and expand it and see what I'm asking you to do as a part of a journaling exercise to help us with really internalizing what we're taking in and looking at it from our lives, looking at it from our perspective, looking at it from where we are. Okay. So make sure that you guys do that. If you know it's going to be here every time. So there you have it. That's the community page. Expand the caption so that you can read what the assignment is. All right. And with that, let me read some of these comments and then we'll go ahead and close out for the day. This was great, you guys. I really feel like we had a really good discussion. I hope that you guys found value in that. But let's see who else is in the room. Peaceful Love says, amen. All right, Peaceful Love. So glad to see you. We got LeVar Dorset. Bible says, hi, LeVar. Nice to see you. Welcome, welcome, welcome on into this room. I'm so glad that you are here. All right, we got a newbie in the room, you guys. Bible says the prayer of a righteous man is powerful and effective. My Lord, let's get it. Let's go, LeVar. Let's go. Acacia says, my God, is this a good session today? Come on. I told y'all, I felt it. I felt it when I was reading. I said, oh, this whole month is going to be transformational. God is getting ready to unlock some things for real. God is getting ready to show up abundantly. God is getting ready to show us how to choose wealth and how to choose abundance and how to live in it, because what we are already in abundance. Don't make me start. Nolan. Oh, this is Nolan. Hi, Nolan. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much for tuning in. Oh my gosh, that's such a nice surprise. I'm so glad that you're here. I literally just sent you the link. I'm so glad that you're here. Oh, wow. I didn't even put 2 and 2 together with the last name. So, oh, awesome. Hi, Nolan. Y'all, everybody give Nolan some love. Send him some hellos. Send him some hellos. I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you. Q Scott is in the building saying, gonna check out the replay promptly as this wraps up. Yes, we will be wrapping up soon. But hey, Q Scott, welcome on into this room. I'm so glad to see you. And you already know what I'm gonna do. Hey, Q Scott. Hey, Q Scott. Let's go. Hey, Q Scott. Hey, Q Scott. Let's go. So glad that you're here, Q Scott. Let's go. Super excited. Nolan says, it is our greatest power. So true. Amen. Yes, it is. Come on. All right. Thank you very much. My family is also well. Yes. Awesome sauce. Hi to the Dorsets. Hello to the Dorsets. Nolan says, God is about to add overflow into our lives. Let's be ready for it. We don't have a choice. We got to be ready for it. And the best way for us to be ready for it is we got to start in the mind. We have to start in the mind. You got to be ready mentally. And I have to tell you guys, I was on a call with Chef Joe today on my lunch break. And if the Holy Spirit didn't come through that conversation and rip me a new one, like Tony Gaskin says, convicted me on so many levels. We have to get ready. And just like Nolan says, we got to be ready for it on all levels, not just one. So be ready to make changes in your life starting today. And this is not an April Fool's joke. Be ready. Because what God is getting ready to pour out, we have to be ready, armored up, secure, with systems in place, orders in place, structures in place to allow us to manage that overflow that's coming. Come on now, don't make me get up and shout. Acacia is giving some acknowledgments and greetings to Nolan. My family and I are highly favored. Praying the Most High has grace to you and your family. Amen. Thank y'all for that sharing. God is a cheerful giver and we should follow his footsteps. He said, give and it shall be given unto you. Pressed down, shaken together and runneth over. Come on now with the word. Well, you guys, I want to thank you all for tuning in. I know this is a lot of comments, but I want you to make sure that you come back because we're going to continue on our conversations. Make sure that you check out the community page so that you will be able to get the reading assignment. We're reading the next 10 pages of the introduction. So we will be reading from pages 11 to 20, and we'll be back here tomorrow, same channel, same time. And you already know that your financial prosperity awaits you, and so does your financial sanity. Y'all already know what I'm gonna tell you to do, and that's what? Get to work. All right. Bye.
The Debt Demolisher TV with Sophia